Welcome back. The Benue State Governor Samuel Otom on Wednesday accused the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, of failing to honor the democratic choice in the selection of his running mate. Otom also noted the failure of Atiku to reach out to the governor of Rivers State, Wike, and other aggrieved party members after the party after he picked Governor Okowa of Delta State as his vice presidential candidate. Otom's statements come as ex-Ekiti State Governor Ayo Fayose also demanded a southern presidency. Loyalists of Okowa and Wike disagreed over Otom's statement on how Atiku picked his running mate. Okowa's aides and loyalists are reported as saying the party had gone beyond the blame game and was focused on winning the 2023 elections, what he's saying. But on the other hand, Wike's loyalists are reacting, by saying in an interview that they're backing Otom and they're faulting the process that led to the choice of Okowa. This is all well documented, how Okowa emerged. Now, reports say the widening cracks in the People's Democratic Party pose a threat to Atiku's presidential ambition. Now, following his victory at the P.D.P convention, where he defeated Wike and other contenders for the presidential ticket, Atiku Abubakar had written to the leadership of the People's Democratic Party to aid his choice of selecting a running mate. Now, the PDP National Chairman, Iochayu, Senator, consequently set up a 17-man committee which recommended Wike and the governors of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, and Akwa Ibom State, Emmanuel Udom. However, Atiku went with the choice of Okowa. We're told that it was a majority vote, in favor of Okowa. Otom, who was a member of that committee, disclosed that 14 out of the 17-man committee voted in favor of committee. That is an overwhelming majority, if you want to use that word. Now, further signs that things may not be getting right and maybe rough for Atiku's ambition were confirmed by the tweet of former Ekiti State Governor and one would call him leader of the PDP in Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose. He tweeted saying he faulted the emergence of the former vice president as the PDP standard bearer in the 2023 presidential election. That's a tsunami of a statement, if you ask some. Fayose, he was an ally of Wike, also contested against Atiku for the party ticket, and he took to his official Twitter handle at Governor Ayo Fayose on Wednesday. You can see the tweets in front of you, to champion the clamor for a southern presidency. And the tweet read, quote, "The PDP constitution provides for a rotational presidency. Section 3 sub C provides that the party shall pursue its aims and objectives by adhering to the policy of rotation and zoning of the party and public elective offices in pursuance of a principle of equity, justice, and fairness." The current president of Nigeria is a two-term northern presidency, thus implying that it must be a southern presidency in 2023 or nothing. Our South local, or our South local, for those who speak Yoruba better than I, meaning it is the turn of the South, borrowing from the now popular phrase of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where he said, "Emi local." He says, Fayose ended by saying, Nigerians should await details soon. Nigerians should await details soon suggests that something is amiss. Something is amiss. Now, before Otom and Fayose's outbursts, PDP leaders in Ekiti State had complained about Atiku's failure to campaign for the party's governorship candidate, B.C. Kolawole, who also lost to the All Progressives Congress in the June 18 poll. Commenting on the development, however, media advisor to Atiku Abubakar, Paul Ibe, is saying that plans and moves are ongoing to reconcile their aggrieved members of the party. We have joining us political analyst Dr. Katch Ononuju, who will now help us take a look at this somewhat bizarre twist of events in the People's Democratic Party. Katch Ononuju, thank you very much for your time. Are you in support of the reports and some analysis from those out there that what's happening in the PDP right now will scuttle its presidential ambition?
Well, what I can tell you is what's going on is not new. It is just, these are old dresses being dressed up in new colors. It's been there. The quest to sustain the Nigerian project by recognizing and embracing equity, justice, and fairness. You can see that the PDP is in trouble. I've told you that before on this particular station. When the PDP went against its constitutional positions on zoning, P2B left the party, and with him, millions left the party. The support base of the PDP historically has always been southern Nigeria. And so that particular southern Nigeria had people who had meetings and said it's a turn of the south, and that's where you saw all the governors came together to say, yes, it's the son of the south. Why? It will be very dangerous for the south to have the North stay for 16 years at the presidency. If that happens, every child in the south will know that they do no more have any fair expectation that they could be president of Nigeria. And that's the larger import of what's playing out. So I don't expect this crisis to stop. I don't blame Peter Fayoshe. I don't blame Governor Autumn. I blame squarely Vice President Atiku Abubakar, whose ambition is the reason why we are where we are right now at the PDP. So if you expect it to get killed quickly, I think you will simply be wishy-washy wishing. I see this problem as real. When in 2015, the Northerners sought for a Northern tone at the presidency, and the PDP didn't give that to them, a lot of Northerners inside the PDP worked to help President Buhari emerge. So I don't see anything different from what the Southerners are doing currently. No, whether it's a Southerner in the PDP, a Southerner in the APC, or even the new PDP people today masquerading as Labour Party, it is the same human reaction. I don't expect the PDP crisis to end very quickly. I only expect to see more. As you've just mentioned, they told you to check out for more. I see more problem for my party, the People's Democratic Party, because once the party has decision zoning, when it came to the turn of the Southeast to score, they now decided to shift the goalposts. What you're going to harvest is a whirlwind of uncontrollable problems, and that's what you're beginning to see. Nobody says these problems will go away. Nobody says it's going to be very, very easy for the PDP. No, it's only beginning to see the human reactions to the consequences of its own internal contradiction, which in the first part created the obedience movement with Governor Peter Obi right at the head of that particular movement by a cross-section of Nigerians from all parts. But most importantly, the bulk of PDP supporters now following Governor Peter Obi. So what you're seeing from Governor Wike, Governor Autumn, Governor Fayoshe is simply a continuation of that protest which you saw led by Governor P2B, which has now
but Dr. Katch Ononuju. All right, Dr. Katch Ononuju, how do we explain all of this? I mean, with Nigeria, we constantly talk about the rule of law and following agreement to the letter, which has not been very common with our political or our politicians or the elites, I mean, the ruling class. Now, a 17-man committee was set up, which, you know, the presidential flag bearer is apparently, some people say he is responsible for setting that committee. 14 out of 17 voted for Wike to become a running mate. What's the problem?
Well, the problem is very simple. In the PDP, we currently have a group of people who do not respect agreements, who do not respect order, who do not regard the other people as being part and parcel of a gentle house. So if they could go against the zoning formula, Kuchna brought up Atiku, why wouldn't they also go against the voting as a consequence of a committee set up by the party? So it is simply impunity. It's no more the issue of party rules. No. What you're seeing is the progression of that impunity in the PDP also brought to bear. Secondly, it also shows you that the problem in the PDP is deeper than most people would actually want to see. So what you're seeing right now is the visualization of those internal bad manners which forced the PDP to petition is zoning arrangement. And when you petition them, just like the North felt in 2015, you are now beginning to see the Southerners now also say, if you're going to petition zoning, and you will even go as far as petition a voting, could you call a sampling, could show 14 members out of 17 wanted Governor Wike. And let me tell you one thing, in my own personal recommendation, I said, if you look at the United States of America, at the end of the primary process in the Democratic Party, President Biden chose the people at the very far end of the party. In this case, that was how Vice President Kamala Harris came into the presidential calculus, being given the vice presidency, because there was a need to heal the party and unite the Democratic Party in the United States. That was why they took 2 members of the power extremes in the party.
Now, but Dr. Katch Ononuju, do you think it's fair if we still have you with us this morning? Do you think it's really fair not to honor agreement? I mean, you come together and there's an agreement. I mean, what do you expect of Wike now with all of the backlash? I mean, the back and forth that's going on. Do you still expect him, to be satisfied when you have a committee that's been set up? How would you feel? I mean, I'm just trying to say, let's be empathic here. Be realistic. If you were in that shoes, you have a committee that was set up, and that you also supported the setting up of this committee, and you had persons voting. 17 out of 14 persons said yes to having Wike as, a vice, taking the vice presidential slot, and that was not honored. And also looking at the fact that he, had some numbers during the primaries. Do you think this is fair? And some people are saying that we probably might just see this impunity taking over the country when you have these persons becoming president, paraventure, they're elected to become president. What we expect is that impunity, there's no respect for agreement, there's no respect for the rule of law, whatever it is.
What you're seeing is impunity cause of crisis in the PDP originally, to now spread to also the arguments regarding the tickets. I don't expect Governor Wike to slow down, because I know Governor Wike and this is who he is. He has made his point known and the party didn't regard it. Well, what you're going to see right now is implosion, which I think will only benefit the Labour Party, led by Governor Peter Obi. I don't expect the PDP to be able to kill its problem, because even if you ask me, you saw how much it took Bola Tinubu to go around trying to make peace. Nobody saw that of Vice President Atiku Abubakar. So that means that particular impunity that forced him to go against the zoning arrangements is the same impunity that is driving his reaction towards the Southerners. Well, as you rightly say, you can see the taste of the cooking right in the pudding. So I don't expect the PDP to heal itself. I expect them to continue to lose the unity that they should have had going into this election, because one, the PDP started up with impunity. The PDP now is harvesting well-wind from that its embrace of impunity, and I expect that to severely damage my party. I think this is very bad for my party. I also believe that this shows that those who are at the helm of affairs don't think properly. They probably just allow themselves to be goaded by inducements, either through arguments or some other kind of forms that can force such inducements within the hierarchy of our party. It is very bad for us going into election. Nobody likes to see his house divided, and we know very well that every house divided can never stand when challenged by outside forces. I don't think the PDP is ready for election.
All right.
I don't think the PDP is ready to win.
All right, Katch, very interesting. I think one of the positives of this is that we now know which party you belong to, which is actually not wrong. I mean, it's a constitutional right for every Nigerian should have a political party. Like they say, every human being is a political animal. Does Ayodele Peter Fayose, Peter the Rock on which we stand, as some people call him, does he have any complaint? I mean, does Wike have any complaint? Because there are two issues here. The first one happens to be the non-adherence to the zoning provision in the P.D.P constitution, section 3 sub C, as Fayose pointed out. Second is not making Wike the running mate or the vice presidential candidate, as the Nigerian constitution calls it. Does the likes of Wike, for the first issue of the zoning arrangement in the party, do the likes of Wike and Okowa and Fayose have anything to complain about? I think we've lost our guest here. We'll try. Okay, Dr. Katch.
All right. You don't lost me. I am here. You
All right.
lost me.
Do the likes of Fayose and Wike have anything to complain about? I mean, we saw it with our eyes that despite Wike's multi-million-dollar investment and support for Tambuwal in the 2019 or 2018 presidential primary of the P.D.P, right there at the Shark Stadium, Port Harcourt, in Wike's own backyard, despite that support, despite the hundreds of millions of naira given to Sokoto State when they have burnt markets and all that, or markets in Port Harcourt and traders have not been given monies that they've been promised. Despite this support Wike gave to Tambuwal, he said, okay, when it comes to Northern agenda, I, Tambuwal, will step down. I don't care how much Wike spent on me. I'm stepping down for my brother, Atiku Abubakar, Waziri Adamawa. Wike was busy going around castigating and ridiculing Peter Obi, his fellow Southern brother. Fayose didn't step down for Wike, his fellow Southern brother, and chose to also go against him in the primary. So what do these people have to complain? Because they didn't come together to support one person or to even step down for the person.
Well, what you're seeing right now, if I should tell you, is simply the PDP is reaping the repercussions from its bad action. Don't ask me if Fayose has any ground. Fayose is a sounding board. He represents the thoughts and mindset of the caucus of the party to which he belongs. And that caucus is the caucus with Governor Wike in it and Fayose. So it would be wrong for anybody to think that Fayose does not know what he's doing. No, he knows what he's doing. Fayose is simply presenting the position of the Wike faction of the PDP. So I would want to advise that you actually take Fayose very, 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 very seriously, because Fayose is the mouthpiece currently of his group. So you are seeing them right now do a multi-pronged game. Fayose punching from one side and Governor Otom also punching from the other side. So I want to tell Nigerians, do not wave aside what Fayose and Governor Otom are doing.
Yeah, Dr. Ononuju, I'm not waving aside. I'm not saying we should wave it aside. I'm saying, does he have any basis for complaint? When he could have stepped down for a fellow Southern candidate, when they could have come together and to say, okay, we're going to support, because it's about delegates. You know, it's about delegates. And you see how many votes Wike lost by. He came second. He wasn't obliterated. Fayose was there. He was in that election. He stood against Wike. He stood against Wike. Whilst Tambuwal, who was a Northern candidate, stepped down for Atiku. Why didn't he do the same? Say, okay, we're going to support a Southern candidate. Wike was busy ridiculing Obi in the same party. So the Southerners didn't work together.
Yes, that is true. A lot of the Southerners and their inordinate ambition actually are to be condemned. If I tell you the two people who are responsible for this crisis are those whose inordinate ambition didn't allow them to look at what's the best for the PDP. If we had been honest to ourselves in the PDP, what we'll have done is to look at what is the best, who is the best, and then we'll probably have been enjoying this current movement advantage which Governor P.D.P seemed to be enjoying. We didn't do that. What we did was simply to put our personal inordinate ambitions, and in this case, you have now seen that Nigerians have rejected us and followed Governor P.D.P. So why we are continuing to haggle and fight ourselves in the PDP, you can see that the wind has already left our sail and is now beginning to follow Governor P.D.P all over the country. That is not very good for us. That doesn't make me feel very good. That makes me also learn that in future, inordinate ambitions should not be followed. If you look at the party now, it has imploded. You're asking me about Ayo Fayose. Well, it is no good asking questions about why is somebody who has been slapped very angry. It's not true. You cannot slap a child and expect the child not to show some signs of pain. It is understood, it is the turn of the South after 8 years of Northern presidency brought about by a lot of members of my party who formed the NPDP, which was now the basis of a coalition with other Nigerians, which now bettered the Buhari presidency in the APC. After the 8 years, it is expected that for the sake of the Nigerian project, we should allow equity and fairness to guide our behaviors at all times. But no, the inordinate ambitions by some of our members forced the destruction of that zoning arrangement in the PDP. It is that decisioning of zoning arrangement that is at the bedrock of all the crises that you're seeing. No matter how we try to play over it, no matter how we try to dress it with pancake, it's not going to hold.
All right,
already,
all right.
The train has left the station, and
wow.
as you can see right now, Governor P.D.P has brought the wind to our sails.
All right, all right,
so
all right.
We will continue fighting, whereas Nigerians prepare for elections. We agree.
Dr.
Ononuju, of the North,
yeah.
It should be the start of the South.
So you're saying, you're saying the train has left the station as far as the PDP is concerned. So we want to now look at where the train is headed. Fayose received in his residence in Lagos the governor-elect of Ekiti State, Oyebanji, and he declared support for his administration. Of course, that's a pattern in the Southwest. You know, if one party loses, they would say, okay, they know how to come together. Unlike in the Southeast and South. But this is still something he says a lot. You know, he even agreed to be pictured and posed with Oyebanji, who came to Lagos to see him. That's the APC governor-elect of Ekiti State. That's number one. Number two, we've seen Peter Obi visit Nyesom Wike at Wike's sprawling mansion. This is like an estate in Port Harcourt, on Ada George Road. But before Obi visited Wike, about 3 or 4 days before night, in the middle of the night, David Umahi, governor of Ebonyi State, who is a PDP member, went like Nicodemus to see Wike on behalf of the APC. So we've seen APC go to see Wike, we've seen PDP go to see Labour Party going to see him, and of course APC courting what's his name again, Fayose. Are you aware that Otoma said he's not made up his mind as to who he will support? He's waiting for God to speak to him. I'm sure he's now become a spiritual man. Now another one, Joey Bekwe, who is Tinubu's ally in Lagos State, put up a Facebook post claiming that Wike had gone to see Tinubu in France. He hurriedly pulled down that post when he went viral. So where do you suspect, if you say that the train has left the station, where do you suspect this 2022 set of NPDP will be going?
Oh, well, it is very clear. The NPDP of today should be seen to have followed the obedient train. We are PDP people. Most PDP people who are not happy with PDP and will not follow APC are already with the obedient movement. It is as expected, as you said. Fayose, Wike, Autumn, all of them talked about a president from the south for one very important reason. If you look at the two reasons, or if we like say three, given by Governor Autumn on Arise Television, he talked about the impunity. He also talked about security. And I have previously on this particular channel told you that due to the slow motion war that we have seen, the people of the North Central, the people of the Middle Belt are very, very frightened about the Fulani insurgency. And they believe that only a Southerner can stop that Fulani insurgency, arrest it, and make sure that nobody is going to take their ancestral lands, because the fight by the Fulani militiamen is over ancestral lands. That's why you're seeing the ethnic cleansings in Kaduna State. That's why you're seeing the killings in Benue, in Plateau, in Adamawa, in Taraba, in Niger State. So people from that part of the country, the Middle Belt, their number one concern is security. And they believe that was the reason why they were looking for a Southerner to help them. Now, in this case, Governor Autumn also spoke on Arise Television about the clandestine work of Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and the Sunni Muslims in Nigeria, in trying to not only colonize Nigeria, but also using an Islamic agenda to undermine Nigeria's sovereignty. Those things are very serious. You don't need to wave them away, because without security, you cannot build on any other foundation. So the people of the Middle Belt are very worried about their security. That's why I see some people in the South who don't understand these things as being very blind people. It is not about party. It's about Nigeria. It's about saving this country. So we need to look at that. The security crisis is real. It's not a joke. So that's why you're seeing a lot of people who truly care about Nigeria's
Dr. Katch Ononuju, we have to let you go now.
Right now,
I mean,
the other agendas that may secure the country going forward.
Dr. Katch Ononuju, thank you so much for your perspective. Unfortunately, we're running, out of time, and we wish we can continue this conversation. But it's always a delight to hear you speak on some of these issues. We look forward to sharing your thoughts as we proceed and get close to 2023.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then. And that's the size of our conversation at this point in time. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll be looking at updates from the spots. Well, stay with us.